without the power of God behind everything I do, I really am completely inadequate.
I'm helping the culture. These guys are part of us as well. You know, these guys are our cousin. I'm helping the culture. I'm pushing the culture forward in another way.
Hey, black child, be what you can be, learn what you must learn, do what you can do, and tomorrow.
What do you do after you read? What do you do after you know all, right? And you can say that you're truly conscious. How are you putting what you know into action?
Hey, what is up? What is up? I am Jasmine Gates, your host for the New Black History Makers show. Yeah, we're back for another Friday, 3:30 p.m. I don't know why I feel like I don't know what to say. But if you're watching on YouTube or if you just heard another laugh, I am not by myself. Koree Yancy is with us.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome
Koree
to the
is
show.
Welcome to the show. But yeah, so if you listened a little bit last week, Dre and I Dre was asking me about my travels. 2 Fridays ago, I wasn't here, and then the 2 Fridays before that, they were all pre-recorded shows because Koree and I were in Central and South America.
Yes, we
living it
were.
up. So we did an 18-day tour, basically. Wasn't a tour. We just did an 18-day situation in Central and South America. We had a really good time. So this whole episode is dedicated to that. If you know me, you know that pre-COVID, I was a pretty avid traveler. So I would leave and then come back and do an episode or something about it. So this is what this is. We're just gonna do an episode about our travels and stuff. Yes. But before we get into that, I want you guys to meet Koree and stuff. So we're gonna do an intro and a check-in and all of that. But first, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. This week I started back working out at the gym. And so I'm feeling really great. It might be all the pre-workout, but no, but it's been a great week. It's been a great week. And so, yeah, I'm feeling good today.
That's good.
Thanks for having me, Jess.
Yeah, of course, of course. So yeah, that's good. So y'all know if you listen to the beginning of the show, I always do the regular check-in of how are you doing, but then also like y'all know I was reading an article and it said to be more mindful of like our questions because naturally we'll give a very like generic answer to how are you doing. Like I always say, usually when people come on here, they give a thorough answer. But I always ask a random question, and the guests never know what it is. But it's something to get like more of a conversation going, or get them thinking, or whatever. So the question, I didn't pick the question yet, but let's go with what inspired you this week.
Okay, really quick. Should I be looking here or looking there or looking at you? Like what?
Whatever. So don't. I mean, you can look wherever.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be an hour and a half, so you're gonna be looking all
time.
over the place.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the camera. If you have
Okay.
something like real important to say, look at the camera. But it's free flowing, so you can look at me or whatever.
Okay.
Whatever's comfortable.
So what inspired me this week?
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, which is probably a lot of you, I am in ministry. That's my thing. That's my calling. I am a complete Jesus girl. And so something that inspired me this week was I really felt led to go on a fast. And so I've been fasting this week and really spending time with God, trying to, get his voice. I want his voice to be the loudest voice in my life, right? And so I've been really in pursuit of that this week. And I think one thing that has really inspired me this week, or at least I'll say encouraged me, and as just such a great reminder, was doing the work. Right? Like I think sometimes we get so caught up in all the things that we're dreamers, or at least I know I am. And I know for like a lot of the people that surround me, we're dreamers and we have these big ideas and we want to do all of these things. But I really just felt the Lord tell me this week, like, one, what are you doing? Like, we have to actually do the work to make some progress, right? So I don't know. I know it sounds like really silly, but for me, that was just a reminder, like nothing's going to come to you.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I think also me working out, that's like one of the biggest things that I've been having to live out is like, we all want this dream body. We all want this lifestyle, but it's going to take a lot of discipline and a lot of sacrifice to get the results that you want. And so God just like very humbly reminded me of that, because I think sometimes we get caught up in wanting to save the world that we forget to do the work to just like save today,
Yeah.
you know?
That's good. Just save
So
today.
yeah,
Or
just save the day.
Yeah.
Just save the day. Do what you can today.
Yeah. I love
So,
that.
Reel it in. Reel
Yeah.
it in sometimes.
I love that. That's
Thank
a good
you.
answer. So then you shared a little bit about what you do, but a little bit more about Koree. Who is Koree, and what I know you said you're in ministry and stuff, but
Mhm.
yeah, anything else you want to add?
Well, like just in general, like who am
Yeah.
I? Like yeah, like I'm 33. I'm from LA. Like
Right. Keep the
No,
LA hat.
yeah, LA hat on, LA girl.
Yeah.
No, so born and raised in LA, I have, it's just been a journey. Like I mentioned, I'm in ministry. I wasn't always in ministry, nor did I always see my life in the context of ministry. It certainly wasn't a goal of mine. But here I am. And so I am currently in pastoral ministry at my church. I shout out to New Life LA. I've been there for over 10 years now. So it's really my church home. And it's been it's been a journey, like I said. So ministry, yes, but obviously like my heart is, I have a lot of different interests that I like try to tap into. I know Jazz and I have had lots of conversations about like, wow,
Yeah.
where's the intersection of all of these things, because I'm also a very business minded person, at least in terms of like my interest.
Right.
Now I'm not Jazz. Jazz is the entrepreneur.
Oh,
I'm
Lord.
not quite there yet. But I've always had a love for business, social business, like a business with a social mission. So like social entrepreneurship has kind of always been my heart. And so I have something I'm kind of working on. Well, I have something I am working on. Let me be
Yeah.
clear about that, right? And yeah, and then just really taking this whole ministry thing to a different level, because I just really believe that there's been a lot of miseducation. There's been a lot of sweeping things under the rug. And I just believe that the church needs to do a better job of, one, equipping its people and addressing tough questions. And
Yeah.
so that's like my passion.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I already knew that, but
Yeah.
yeah. So Koree and I met through Over the Hump. You guys, a few months ago, Charles came on. Charles is the originator of Over the Hump, and yeah. So I think it's coming up
next Wednesday.
Not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. Yeah.
The
So
15th.
yeah, but that's where we met over about a year ago. And then a year passed, and we found ourselves in Guatemala. Right, in Central and South America. So yeah, that was a thing, but yeah, like it's been cool. So we're gonna get into it. The question that everybody has been asking me is, what was your favorite place?
I know, right? And I knew that's obviously the question I knew you were going to ask, and I've been thinking about it. I would say that my favorite place, I really enjoyed Antigua, Guatemala. And so if you're also, should I like Guatemala? Like, should I like, should I do it?
God.
So,
should I Guatemala? Lord.
So like I really enjoyed Antigua.
Mhm.
And I loved Veronico, Peru.
Mm.
Peru. So those were like two of my places. I really liked them.
Yeah, for some reason, like I said it when we were there. And I guess we can detail where we went. So we did Guatemala. We had 2 long layovers in Costa Rica and Panama, and then we went to Peru, and then we went to Colombia. So Central and South America, and then we had it shouldn't have been a long layover, but we had a long layover in Mexico City. But for some reason, when we were in Peru, it was like, out of all the places that I've been, I'll say except Africa, I was like, wow, I'm in Peru. Like it was something that like not that it was unbelievable, but I was just like, never really imagined myself out the country, throughout like before I started traveling, but I just never imagined myself in Peru. And I'm like, I feel like Peru was just one of those things. Like, I knew when I booked the flight, I was like, oh, people are gonna be like, oh, you went to Peru,
Right,
like
it
whatever.
is.
And Peru gave what it was supposed to give.
It sure
Like
did.
it was.
It delivered.
Yeah, like the
Definitely
food was
delivered.
good. We needed more time to eat.
Yes,
like
we did.
in Peru for
It's
sure.
fire.
But it was really just, I don't know. I kept saying it gave like Europe, but with like this Latin, or like
Yes.
Hispanic kind of like feel to it, basically.
Yes,
So
yes.
it was cool to be there. You like Antigua. I like the lake though.
You like Panna?
I love,
did.
yeah.
I did too. I'm such a water baby. I think oh, I loved Panna Shell too. I
Mhm.
did. We just had great time there. The food
Right.
was good when we
Yeah.
like found good food. I don't know if that doesn't make sense to you
Right.
guys, but we had some very
I don't know if this
interesting
means anything
experiences.
to you.
We had some really interesting experiences. I
Yeah.
think the first day, but then after that, we were able to find some good food. So we were in Guatemala, and so we went to this city called Panachel.
Yeah.
And at Panachel, there's this lake called Lake Antillon. Lake Antillon, right?
Atilan.
Antillon. Is that it? Okay. And it's funny because my sister's her last name is Antillon. So I'm
okay.
always like kind of confused. Okay. Anyways, and so there's this beautiful lake there, and then so we were on the mainland, which is Panachel, and
Yeah.
then we took the boat. Well, you can take boats to the different islands like San Marcos,
Yeah.
San Pedro, La Laguna. There's just a bunch of them, right? And I'm such a water baby. Like I really enjoyed being by the water. I think in terms of Antigua, I think I just love the architecture. Like Jazz said, so I know she was talking about Peru, but there is very much this European feel to Antigua also. It's like a Spanish kind of, I mean, obviously.
Yes, it is.
But
all
it
of it,
is, but
everywhere.
it's beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful, just the colors, the
Mhm.
vibrancy. And like, I love, Jazz and I have deemed Guatemala the
Land of hidden
the
gems.
land of hidden gems.
Yeah.
Like you walk around Antigua and you're just walking by this door. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna go grab a scoop of ice cream, and you go in and there's like this beautiful oasis.
Yeah.
And so there's so much behind these what seems to be like plain doors, right?
Yeah.
And I just love that.
Yeah.
It's always a surprise in Antigua.
Yeah.
That
So
made me
that's
happy.
been my answer. My answer has been Guatemala.
Mhm.
When people say, and because of what you said, like it's very shocking. And I did a lot of research on all of the places, and a lot of people were like, oh, Guatemala is kind of like up in the air, iffy, but I was
Mhm.
like, you have to do some thorough research, find out where the places are, and then just trust that like you'll be amazed when you get there, because like even the door we stayed in a really nice place on the lake, but
Oh,
even
it's
the
beautiful.
door that they sent me a picture of, I'm like, this is not the door to the place that I booked.
Right,
Like, this is not it. But we walk into this door and it's beautiful. It's like, but the door was just, kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Guatemala has been my answer. I love water too. So I'm a summer baby. So like I feel like, just always in the water for your birthdays and stuff if you're a summer baby.
Yes.
But I really loved, the people were sweet. The food was good. I feel like after our first, the first day, our first meal in Guatemala, on the lake. So basically, just for
Well, our
context,
first
if anybody
meal in Guatemala, period. Guatemala
No,
City.
the
Do you remember
taco-
Guatemala City?
we had tacos though,
Yeah.
but that wasn't bad.
It was mediocre.
It wasn't as
at
bad as the
best.
shrimp sandwich.
No, okay. No, nothing was as bad as that shrimp sandwich.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. So
Okay.
just for context, if you ever do want to go to Guatemala and go to Lake Atilan, the lake is about a 4 to 5 hour drive from Guatemala City. We took a shuttle to get there, and we stayed in Airbnbs the entire time, unless we had one of those long layovers where we just got a hotel for the night. So Airbnbs, and I guess we can get into that too, but I'll get into the story about our first. We're walking around Guatemala, and we see like, okay, this restaurant that's like upstairs, not like a rooftop, but it's on the second floor. So we go in, we're like, okay, it's nobody there, but that's not too far fetched when you're traveling. Like you'll go into restaurants where nobody will be there. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever.
We were searching for a view. We're like, yeah, we just want to chill.
Yeah,
It's been a
so
long
it was a
travel
nice
day.
view, kind
Yeah,
of.
it was
You can
fine.
see the volcanoes, I guess, or the mountains, and then the water a little bit. But I ordered a shrimp sandwich, and you get what?
I had shrimp.
Yeah, so
Like
we
just
both got-
sauteed
yeah,
shrimp with some rice and some veggies.
right. And my sandwich comes out with like regular white bread and
Wonder.
yeah, like Wonder Bread. And I open it up, and there's like these black things in the sandwich.
Jazz
And
goes
I'm
to,
like,
I think you
what
were
is
putting
this?
some condiments on.
Well,
it.
I think
You
I was just trying to
opened it
figure,
up,
yeah, because I
hold
was
on,
like,
what is this?
and I'm like, what is this? And Corey's like, I think it's the shrimp heads. And I'm like, okay. Because what I thought was that it was some bugs or something. And I'm
It
like,
looked like crickets.
yeah. And I'm like, hey, we're in Guatemala. I don't know what they garnish their sandwiches with. But I'm like, okay. So I just ate it. And that's one thing about me. When I'm in America, I expect great service and I will send
Yeah.
my food back. When I'm in a different country, my tolerance goes through the roof. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. But I just needed somebody to confirm that it wasn't roaches.
Yeah, right. Because that's exactly what
Or
it looked like.
crickets or something.
Exactly what
Because it looked
like.
like bugs.
Well, you all seem shrimp heads. Like everyone knows what a shrimp
It
head
was
looks like, but then
yeah,
it was like
brown
brown, and it
mhm.
was like,
And it was small. It looked smaller than the shrimp. So
I
it
mean,
was a
I
little
think
different.
it was shrimp heads.
Well, hopefully. It's a little late
We
now.
still
Hopefully
don't know.
it's
We still
passed
don't
through my
know.
body.
But you
Yeah.
know,
But yeah, so that
Jazz
was
ate it. Jazz ate the whole
Yeah.
sandwich. Too,
I mean,
so
it was a regular sandwich. You know, it
yeah.
was sandwich bread with shrimp on it. So
Yeah.
it
Oh,
was
but
whatever.
man, but we should tell him about the guy.
The guy
so
was sweet. He was very sweet. He gave us his best.
Exactly.
Yeah, he gave us his very best.
It was big. It was big. I felt like he was really serving us, you
Yeah.
know? And so it would be so rude to just send something back because it doesn't look appetizing or because it's not, what you thought you were getting.
Right.
Because honestly, he gave us his best. He gave
Yeah.
us what he had. And
The
so it
people
was
were
really
very sweet. So that's one thing that I enjoyed. And I've really realized that when I go out the country, it's just you feel the gratitude. Here in America, we're so we're greedy and we feel like we're entitled to things and all of that. And it's you can figure out where it's from or politic about where it's from or whatever. But you can really see them in other countries living a very a lower lifestyle but having a very high level of gratitude.
Yeah.
And that's always what I love when I travel is just seeing the gratitude of like the people there and knowing that they, don't have much. And I think you had mentioned the thing about like, I don't know who the people were that said this, but they were like, we didn't know we were poor until they said something, until they came and made it a big deal. And it's like, that's crazy, like just being happy for what you are, but that was the thing. I really do enjoy that about traveling, but
I think that's my favorite part of traveling.
Mhm.
Like, obviously, you want to experience the culture,
Yeah.
but it's just like the mindset. It's the mind. It's like the shift of perspective.
Mhm.
Because so often, we're here, we're in our bubble, we're in
Yeah.
our routine, we're doing what we do every day, and it's so easy to get comfortable and to focus on our problems and what we don't have and comparison and blah blah blah. But like, you're so blessed.
Mhm.
Right. And then you go someplace else. And like Jazz said, you see all these people who are so incredibly happy
Yeah.
with not even a quarter of what we have.
Yeah.
And so it really is, it's just such a humble reminder
Yeah.
of like, dude, it's gonna be okay.
Right.
You'll be all right.
Right.
It's good.
Yeah. So it's really good. We can also talk about in Guatemala, both at the lake and more so in Antigua, we saw a lot of Black women, Black American women. And it's so interesting because I'm so iffy about the word American, but as I've been in conversations with people, I'm like, you have to say that because they're like, wait, Black Guatemalans? And I'm like, no, Black African American women that are from, America that were there visiting. So all of the places that I've been to, on this trip, I reached country 22 never. I'm always looking for Black people. Always. Never seen this many Black women ever.
Right.
So it was just crazy. Our first day, we're in Antigua at this fountain. Black woman walks over to us.
She was so sweet.
Yeah, she's just like, "Oh, where are you guys from?" Like whatever. Like and then like I feel like she introduced us to like, "Oh, make sure when you see another Black woman, you do this." And it was
Right.
like, "Oh, this is like it's cool." So when we saw a Black
Right.
woman, the next time we were like, "Oh, hey,"
Like,
you know, like
and
whatever.
then it just became a thing. Like,
Yeah,
hey, sis.
yeah.
Like, what's up?
Yeah, like even it must have been our last
Mhm.
day. So we saw Black women all the way up into it, but like the last day we're like pros, like, oh, there she go, yell out the window, yeah, like, tell her our Instagram, like whatever. So
Let's
it was such a beautiful moment because it just like she literally the first one let us know like this is what you do. And she didn't say it, but it was just like a non-verbal thing, like
very much so.
the next time you make sure you give the same energy to the next Black woman. And I think there's so much going on and there's so much that happens to us that it's just important that we make sure that we see each other, like
Absolutely.
it was a really cool thing. We saw just so many Black women and then we saw the Black lady, I forgot her name.
Yes, her name was Joan.
Yeah, Joan. We saw her,
Mhm.
and she's like a part of this community of older Black people that have retired in Guatemala.
That's like a whole topic on itself,
Yeah,
right?
that
Like,
was probably one of the things that I'll like really hold with me from the trip is her being there and what that means when you compare that to the older people that like we have in our lives.
right.
And you think
right.
about retirement and all of that. So she essentially staying there, and they're staying there because they were like, "Oh, our money isn't going to do what it's supposed to do in America, and inflation goes up, but you don't. If you're retired, your money doesn't go up.
Right,
You're still
right,
getting
right,
this
right.
set stipend or whatever. So that really opened my eyes, and I feel like I'm someone who really thinks outside of the box.
Mhm.
So when something comes up that's like different, I'm like, "Oh, like yeah, I'm
I
holding
didn't
on to that.
consider
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that was cool. I think you talked to her a little bit more than I did when we were in the van. Well, I think I was like listening to something when you guys were talking, but
Yeah, I think you're on a prayer call or something.
on a prayer call.
No, but Jazz, yeah, that's actually I'm glad you brought her up because I've been talking to a lot of people because I mean, people are entering retirement and I've
Yeah.
had so many conversations with elderly women or older women, excuse me, and they've all like considered moving to different states. So we're in
Mhm.
California. I'm sure most of you know that.
Yeah.
But we're in California. So, but the taxes are so incredibly
Yeah.
high. And so it's just it's I think what I really took from Joan was how there's so much more that life has to offer if you have the courage to go get it.
Yeah.
Right? Like she could stay in Texas and be living paycheck to paycheck, but she's like, or I
Mhm.
can live in a queen in Guatemala.
Yeah.
And I have the courage to be by myself. I have the courage to make new friends. I have the
Mhm.
courage to see other Black women and say,
Yeah.
hey, what's up? Let's build community. Like life doesn't stop.
Yeah.
You have the ability to create whatever life you want any day you want.
Yeah.
And I just love that. And I've been like sharing that with people, like,
Yeah.
you do have an option of moving to a different
Right.
country. And they're like, what? I never
Right, like,
considered
why
that.
would I
Well,
do
tell
that?
me
Right.
about the country. I'm like, well, it's awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And like Jazz says, your money goes so much further
Yeah.
if you're, in Central and South America.
Yeah.
At least.
Almost anywhere. Outside of like Europe, but
Outside of Europe.
yeah, anywhere. And there's so many countries to visit. Like
Mhm.
Asia is another one where you'll probably get the most for your money there. And it's such a beautiful time, going to like Thailand.
Would highly recommend.
Yeah. So that was my first, well, not my first. There were some countries we went to when I was younger, but as an adult, Asia was my first out of the country experience. And I was like mind blown of like how much money we spent, how much
Man,
food was.
It's crazy.
So now I'm like, if you're thinking about going out the country, it's maybe it's definitely over. We flew into Vietnam over like a 13-14 hour trip, which is not too bad. But if you're considering like going out the country, I would say Asia could be your first stop somewhere there. But also now that I've been to Central and South America, I'm like, that's also a good place to go to too if you're not used to flying like long and stuff. But before this trip, I would have said Asia. Yeah, just so that you can get a feel for it, and get a feel for like how the money, kind of works, and you're not spending too much. I'm always thinking of like long trips, and I'm like, people
Oh
don't
my
take long
goodness.
trips.
Someone please get Jazz. Jazz is like,
I'm
I'm going to
like-
leave for 40 days. Like, who has 40 days? This is Jazz. So when she says like she's planning long trips and she's thinking long term, like this is real.
Yeah, I
She's
have
not
to, like,
leaving
be
for like
mindful.
6 days. Like Jazz is like, hey, want to
It's
come with
so-
me and travel for 18
Right,
days?
but
I'm like,
Koree said yes, so now I'm like, oh,
yes.
right,
Of course I do.
right. And we'll get into a little bit about how we decided to travel together. We're gonna go on a break in a little bit, but yeah, we're gonna talk about Airbnbs because Koree, you told me that you like hotels, and I was like, okay, all right, we'll throw in kind of threw in some hotels. But we'll talk about that experience and stuff too, and then we'll go and also detail the other countries. So the first one we did was Guatemala, and then after Guatemala we went to Costa Rica. And we had Panama was so funny. We have to tell you guys about Panama.
Panama was
It was
wild.
so funny. But we'll be back. And you guys can stay tuned. Send this to somebody. So in 3 minutes,
Yes.
we'll be back.
Oh, cute commercial break.
Hey, I should have did the applause. Here it goes. All right, we're back. If you're tuning in from, I don't know, the app, I guess I should have thought about this. If you're tuning in from the app sometime during the week, welcome. This is the New Black History Maker Show. I am your host, Jasmine Gates, and I am with Koree. We're talking about our travels to Central and South America. If you've been
Yes.
tuning in or if you're listening live, welcome back. We are here. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm saying, like, if you're listening through the week, so the good news, we have an app, and it is now, I think, for over a month, it has been on a 24-hour cycle, meaning like the same way you can put on 105.9 or,
That's so
KJLH,
cool.
you can listen to it at any point of the day, and one of our shows will be playing. So our shows play throughout the week when other shows are not on. So there's about 20 shows, I think, on the network. And shout out to the Good News because they just launched their R&B
Yes.
station. So there's the R&B
Okay.
station, the talk station, which is what we're on, and then the Latinx station. So there's a lot of good things happening. So download the app, the Good News Network app. And that way, like, if you want to support a Black-owned business and you want to tune in, you can put it on in your car or whatever when you're driving home, or if you're just at home and want to listen to something. But there's a lot of good shows on the network. So yeah, but definitely tune in. But yeah, we're back talking about our travels to Central and South America. Um, so let's talk about, you're a hotel person, but we stayed in Airbnbs. So how did you like the Airbnbs? Some hiccups, but
No, it's
yeah.
just like one hiccup.
What, the Antigua? Okay.
Antigua one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
what was your
Okay, so really quickly, I don't have anything against Airbnb, right? Like I do like Airbnbs. I think for me, whenever I think of hotels, I just think of cleanliness, I think of
Mhm.
maintenance. And I personally like someone making my bed
Right.
and like freshening up my toiletries. I
Mhm.
like that. So if I'm paying for like a service, like I kind
Right.
of want that with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I was biased in that regard, but Airbnb is an amazing option for long-term stay, like
Yeah.
Jazz said. So when we were in Guatemala, we're in Peru, we're in Colombia, we stayed at Airbnbs. We had two extended layovers in Costa Rica and Panama, and we, stayed at a hotel because obviously it was just like overnight. And I loved the Airbnbs. So I know we'll get into this, but Jazz just did a really great job of choosing the Airbnbs for us. They were
Yeah.
beautiful, y'all, and so cost efficient. They were clean. We had no issues.
Yeah, no.
So I was impressed. I think also one of my reservations about Airbnbs is that it's not going to be as clean as I want it to be, or using someone else's towel or sleeping on someone else's sheets. I mean, obviously it's the same with hotels, but I feel like there's regular maintenance in a hotel,
Mhm.
whereas Airbnb, I feel like that stuff can be sitting for like months,
Mhm.
right? Depending on, if they get
yeah.
bookings, right? But that was not the case, and our experience with the Airbnbs was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
No
Yeah.
bugs. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can I just throw that in?
Mhm.
My mom, when I got back to LA, my mom's like, "Well, how are the bugs out there?" And I'm like, "You know what's crazy?
Mhm.
I didn't see any bugs. Did you see bugs on our trip?"
So it my room at the lake was a
Okay.
little more like, I guess. Well, no, you had a lot of greenery, but it was
Yeah.
like, so that's another thing too. It was like not like a bug, like for it being unclean. It was like
Right.
something that was like on the trees and got inside.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's one thing too. Like when you're traveling, I know when I was in Thailand, we stayed in like a
Oh, see, I saw
um
bugs in Thailand.
yeah, but we stayed in like it was like exposed to like the forest basically. So there were like these weird like green bugs like that we saw there. So it's always different. It's not like a roach thing. But I saw like one. But I'm like I said, my tolerance is very high
But for
when I'm
18
traveling.
days, though,
Yeah, just the
right?
one.
Like, but
And
even like walking the streets.
yeah. Oh, like
Yeah, like
do
you
you
don't
see
see
bugs?
bugs. Like I feel like when you're walking the streets of LA, you see things, right? Or like you're in New
Do
York,
you?
you see things.
Well,
Yeah,
New
you
York,
see like water
you
bugs or
see
June bugs or
right.
some sort of bug, right? Like,
Some
but
sort of
I
bug.
didn't see anything during our travels, and I was very happy about that. So
Yeah. I did, yeah. It was a very like I mean, was it? Yeah, because it didn't feel like we were walking downtown LA. Downtown LA feels a little dirty
See,
sometimes.
exactly. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't feel like that. Um,
Wow. It was great.
yeah. So, but yeah, the Airbnbs. That's one thing too. Like when traveling, the Airbnbs are a lot cheaper than Airbnbs would be out here. The hotels can
Definitely.
be as well, but you're getting a lot more if you stay in an Airbnb. So if you do want to cook, you have the option. We didn't cook at all,
At all.
except for the bread that
You didn't make
you
it.
chopped up and put in the microwave.
I sliced some bread, y'all.
Um,
That's about it.
Yeah, but you had the option of that. I was very intentional with making sure like we had our own space. So every Airbnb we stayed in had at least two, well,
2 rooms,
except
2
for Peru.
bathrooms.
Yeah, Peru had like half a room.
It was a. Yeah, it was. They tried to get sneaky.
Right,
They're like, let's throw
yeah.
a bed in here. Like, this is
Mhm.
not a room,
Right.
but it worked.
Yeah.
So we
So
had
two rooms.
two bathrooms.
And most of them had a pool on the property, and a gym. I think maybe just not. Where did? Well, no, Colombia had a pool and a gym.
Definitely.
Um,
Colombia, Peru,
not
and
the lake in Guatemala.
Guatemala did.
Not the lake.
No, not the lake. They didn't have a pool, but they had the lake.
But we were at the lake. Yeah, so that was something that I was like, oh, it's okay that we don't have a pool there because we'll be by the lake. But yeah, the Airbnbs were really nice. If you follow me on Instagram, Gates Presents, I think they're all in my highlights. So if you look at each country, you can see.
And so cost efficient.
Yeah, so no more than $80 a night for at least 2 bedrooms,
2
a full
baths.
kitchen, 2 bathrooms, and a gym on the property, and I was about to say a lake on the property, a pool on the property. So that's something just to be mindful of if you are traveling out of the country. The Airbnbs will give you, like the best kind of for your
Yeah.
stay. And then also just being mindful, there's been like some posts going around about where not to travel to solo. If you do get an Airbnb, you're typically get in contact with you automatically get in contact with somebody that's there. So if you are traveling solo and you do stay in an Airbnb, at least you have the contact of the person that has the home, and they are rather close. So should something happen, you can call them. I know for me, like I had to get COVID test. One of them was able to like have somebody come to the actual Airbnb. The other ones, they were able to like book me somewhere else. Nothing crazy happened, but I would imagine if something crazy did, they would have helped us, so you have literally like their contact, and they're pretty responsive. Like they're pretty good about responding. So that's just something to be mindful of. If you're booking through a hotel, you're booking through the company and you don't get like a direct person to be in contact with. But
that is such a great point.
Yeah, they were very like helpful even when we
with the Ubers.
Yeah, because we had to move from
one Airbnb
to another, like a last minute type of switch. But it was hard to get into the city from our new Airbnb. The Airbnb was nice, so it's just transportation was hard to get out. So like our guy, the person that
our host,
he got us a ride arranged basically, so we were able to get into the city. And then once we got into the city and got an Airbnb, that's another like rule of thumb too. We got the number of the Airbnb person. I mean the Uber guy, and he took us back and forth for the rest of our trip. So that was like cool too.
That is definitely use your resources, right? Like, we knew we were staying far off, and we're like, okay, what are the chances of Uber coming to pick us up from here? Like, from experience, 0, right? So what are we going to do? We're going to get the number of an Uber driver, and he's just going to kind of be our private driver, and we'll just, run him some money. So it was really, I think that's actually a really good like rule of thumb or something to consider when you're traveling also. Like if you are really bonding with an Uber driver and you're like, dude, this dude's cool, or oh my goodness, I trust her, get her number and just ask if you can just stay in communication with him, and just have them, you can just pay them on the side or something.
Yeah. So that's a cool thing, too, especially, and then also just be mindful, like if don't let too many experiences happen too often. So once I realize, like, oh, it's hard to get out of here. So just make sure that you make provisions to not have that happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the thing. Like, and then also when you're out the country, a lot of them don't make good, money basically. Well, good money for us, but it's not going to cost you too much. So they're like, oh yeah, you need me to come pick you up? Sure. Yeah. Like, you're
At
not gonna do
3
it
in
on
the
app.
morning and take you to
Yeah.
the airport.
Because the guy in Guatemala, he did that for us too. And I feel like somebody else did. I don't know. Maybe it was just a regular Uber. But yeah, that's just a rule of thumb, is like sometimes you may have to get the Uber driver. And if you do kind of book them to kind of take you around throughout the day, they'll look out for you rather than you trying to get like a shuttle company or something like
Mhm.
that to take you around. They're going to charge you more.
Yeah.
Also, when leaving the airport, well, I guess we're just giving tips now. Leaving the airport, try to do Uber. Always, or like whatever their app is, do that, because the taxis are going to charge you a whole bunch of money.
Yeah.
You'll get in a taxi, pay them, and then realize when you're going around the city that you pay way too much to the people that were at the
Girl.
airport. So
Or they
that's
give
just
you
a
a
rule of
price,
thumb.
right? They give you the price, and you're like, okay, yeah. Then you get in the car, and they're like, no, I said this. You're like,
Right.
hold up.
Yeah.
But now
And then
I
the
don't want to get
language-
kidnapped.
Right.
You know?
And then the language barrier
Right,
is there
right.
too. But yeah, so
That's
where
a
did
good
we go? So the next stop was Costa Rica. We were only there for a few hours.
It was great.
Yeah, it was like a perfect, because that's the only bummer too when you're on long layovers. I know in some countries they have lockers, but some airports do not. The airports that we were doing long layovers did not, so we had to carry our luggage with us. So we left the
Very
airport,
smart.
went to
We
some
went to
like cute,
breakfast. Oh.
the breakfast
Yeah,
spot,
yeah, we
the
went to a
little
cute
cute
breakfast place.
breakfast place. I think it was called the Breakfast
Spot.
Club. I think it was TBC.
The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
The Breakfast Club. I think it was the
called
Breakfast
the
Club.
Breakfast Club. We went there, sat for a little bit, and then we left and went to the.
Well, let me just say this really quick, Jazz, if you don't mind. So when we got in the country, the immigration people were like, you know, if you're here for a few hours, you want to check out downtown, you want to go to these markets and all this, right? So Jazz and I are sitting at breakfast, and I'm like, Jazz, we gotta go to these markets. Like, they say they're great, you know. But in my mind, I mean, obviously, we've been to a lot of markets. So, but I was like, you know, I've never been to a market in Costa Rica.
Right.
But then Jazz was like, and I was like, well, we'll just have to lug our stuff around. And Jazz was like, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, me either. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, what's the solution?
Right.
So Jazz like, well, why don't we go to a museum? Like, we're going to see something, you know, cultural.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's definitely a better use of our time. Because the least we can do is get some Costa Rican culture in if we're only going to be there for a few hours.
Right.
And so we ended up going to this museum, and it was perfect because they end up having lockers.
Yeah.
And Jazz just like, that was so smart. Like, I guess I just didn't think about it. I was like, well, I guess we're just going to have to struggle today and lug our
Right,
stuff
and lug
around.
our
And Jazz
stuff
like, I'm not doing that. We're going to find a solution. And I'm like, yes, girl, thank you.
Well,
great.
yeah, they had lockers, and you know, here in America, you have to pay for every single thing that
that part.
anybody offers you. So we get to the museum. I think I looked up the price. I'm sure I did, because I don't like to go anywhere and not know the price and then be shocked by the price.
Mhm.
So I'm sure I looked up the prices and got a price or whatever. We walk in, and it's free for today. For the day that we are in Costa Rica, this museum is free.
The favor of the
So,
Lord.
yeah. So we walk in, and then we're like, okay, I'm thinking we're going to have to put some quarters into this little locker thing or whatever. And I asked the guy, I'm like, is there anywhere we can put this? I'm thinking like behind. Well, no,
Yeah,
I didn't
just
even
behind
see the
your
lockers.
desk or
Right.
something.
I didn't even see the lockers yet. So I'm thinking like, I'm like, can we put these, you know, behind here? We're just going to walk around the museum. He's like, oh no, like, you know, there's lockers. I'm like, okay. So he was like, they're free or whatever. So I'm like, oh, cool. So now we get, you know, to walk around this museum luggage free or
Oh,
whatever,
man.
and we didn't have to pay anything to even go into the museum. That was super cool. We were trying to go to McDonald's, but then I was like, why would we go to McDonald's? Because we only had a little bit of time. So I'm like, we should eat something Costa Rican or whatever.
Yeah.
So we found like some traditional restaurant. We ate there with our stuff still in the locker
Yeah,
at
it was
the
perfect.
Yeah, and then we came
Because then
back.
it started raining. Like
Yeah.
that part, right? Like we would
Yeah.
have been lugging all our stuff around in the rain.
Right.
It sucks.
From walking from McDonald's. Yeah, but it was cool because even the people at the guys at the restaurant, they were super sweet too. And then we went back, got our stuff, got in an Uber, went to the airport, and then flew into Panama.
But that's great tips, right? So like things to consider, you know, who's gonna offer lockers or who's gonna hold, like what is it called?
What?
Like not bag care, but like you know,
who's
like
gonna take care of your bag?
like yeah, like you know, if you
like
if you
where can
have
you-
layovers or if you know you have to check out of your hotel early or your Airbnb early, but your flight isn't until the evening.
Yeah.
Like what do you do with that time? You're
Yeah.
lugging your stuff around, you know? So maybe like Jazz, you know, find a museum and maybe they hold on to it for a few hours
Yeah.
while you kind of explore the area, go back and get it. But just something to consider so that you're not lugging your stuff around. I think
Yeah.
that's a really great travel tip because I hadn't considered that.
Even
You know?
hotels. So I would try. I haven't had to try yet, but if you are able to find a hotel near the area that you're trying to look around, see if the hotel will hold it. I know, of course, if you're staying there, they'll do that.
will.
And then, of course, too, if you're in an Airbnb, so yeah, if you're staying in the Airbnb, you can also ask your host if you can leave your stuff there. I know our Airbnb wasn't ready. Well, the one that we did last minute, it wasn't ready for us to come in immediately. Of course, it was a last minute thing. So we left our luggage there and we asked them if we can go to the pool. So we just stayed in the pool until they finished cleaning. So that's just something also to be mindful of. Because you don't want to be lugging your stuff around, you know, and especially if you like pack, if you don't pack light.
Because we
that's a lot
packed
of
light.
stuff. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like y'all got to get used to packing light.
I know.
You have to.
Listen,
it's just
it's too much.
It's too much, and you don't need that much stuff when you're traveling and stuff. And yeah, doing all of that, like after, because we went to 5 countries, so doing all of that with big luggage and like it's too much.
It is.
Learn how to pack light.
And one thing, are we going on break?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Another thing I want to add to that is I think there's this common misconception that like if America has all of, I don't know, whenever I travel, I take all of these toiletries with me as if the other place,
like they don't,
like they're not gonna have anything.
Right.
But healthcare is really great in other places.
Yeah.
Right. That's a whole nother topic. But so I feel like majority of my luggage was toiletries.
I was like,
I need my ointment. So just in case I break out, I need like hydrocortisone cream. I need A&D ointment. I need Benadryl. I need Claritin. I need all of these things that you think they're going to have. I need Pepto-Bismol, Tums, just in case. Like, and it's like, girl, calm down.
Right.
Like wherever you go, they have it.
Right.
You know, it's like, unless you're going backpacking in the wilderness and you're really going to be like away from civilization, then that makes sense, right?
Right.
But if you're traveling in a different country, but you're going to be in the city, you're going to be doing, you know, fun things, you're going to be in the city and civilization, like you don't have to pack too much stuff, especially toiletries. They have what you need.
Yeah.
So,
and if not, you can buy it somewhere.
That's what I'm
so
saying.
That's
You can buy
too.
it.
Yeah. It's well, we didn't talk about our getting ready to leave. It's funny. Yeah, all the stuff that
oh my gosh. Listen.
Koree
okay.
was
Should we
going on I don't know what
okay.
Koree, I thought we were gonna be standing in the volcanoes.
Listen, to my defense. So here's what Jazz is getting at. Jazz and I met right before we were leaving, right? Yeah. And And so Jazz is very organized. I don't think we prefaced with this, but Jazz planned the entire trip. So she was originally going on this trip alone. I don't know if you plan to circle back.
No,
but,
yeah.
And so she has all these details and in every location and sightseeing and all of these details together. So she sends me her notes, and her notes are on my phone. I'm like, okay, cool. And so when Jazz approached me, she's like, hey, do you want to go to Guatemala? Well, she asked me if I wanted to go on this trip with her. I'm like, yeah. So when we're talking about Guatemala, and she's talking about this lake. She's like, yeah, there's this lake I want to see there. And I'm like, okay, cool. So in my mind, I'm thinking we're going to be at a lake, right? And then I'm going through her notes and I see packing list. So I'm like, okay, let me pull up this link. I pull up this link and it takes me to like water purifiers, hiking boots, all of these like crazy things. Like, you have to have this certain type of mosquito repellent. You have to have locks, like a specific type of lock for all of your luggage. You need to have all of these different medications. And I'm like, oh my God. So I get on Amazon. I just start ordering all this stuff, right? I'm going nuts. I have towels, I have sheets, I have hiking boots, I have all of this stuff, which is nuts. So then when I'm talking to Jazz at lunch, I'm like, yeah, girl, I just got this water filter. And she's like, maybe I'm not taking this trip as seriously as I should. And I'm like, and I'm dying because in my mind, we're going backpacking in the wilderness. In Jazz's mind, she's like, we're luxury. We're getting Instagram content. Like, what? And so it was so funny because I ended up.
And if you know me, you knew whatever trip she was going on, I was not going on that trip. Because I don't do that. I was contemplating whether I wanted to go hiking for a few hours on this trip.
Wait. So I asked Jazz, I say, so do I need my hiking boots? And she says, are you really trying to do adventurous things like that? And I was like, no. She's like, because I was thinking more like hot springs and markets. And I was like, yes. So the trip that we went on was the trip I wanted to go on, but I was down. I was going to thug it out.
Yeah, and I'm like,
that's crazy.
It's crazy because I planned the trip, right? But Koree keeps saying that she's buying all these things, and I'm like, I just never thought to buy this stuff. And like, we're leaving on a Tuesday, and it's like Sunday, and I'm like, dang, I haven't bought any of that stuff that Koree bought. Like, I'm just going to be like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And Koree is like, she at one point in time, maybe like Sunday night or Monday,
shower slippers, day pack.
Yeah, I'm like, what's a day pack? Like, where are we going?
Google day pack. If you're listening, please Google day pack. I had a backpack, and then I had a backpack for the day.
Right. So I'm like, I'm in my head, and mind you, like I said, I planned the trip. I know where we're going. I know that like the places that we're going, like, because the Airbnb, they do a good job of some of them of telling you like what's around the Airbnb that you're staying at, and then when you're looking on your reservation, you can also just see like the general area, so you can kind of put something that's around the Airbnb into the map to see like what's there. So I'm like, oh, we're staying in the city, like I didn't plan for us to stay anywhere like away from the city, right? So, and of course, like these places have grocery stores because the people live there.
Wait, can you tell them what I told you when I was taking back my water bottle? And
right. So Koree is like, well, yeah, we're not going anywhere that doesn't have water. And I'm like, right, like, of course we're not. Like, I know that. So, but when she said she's getting a filtered water bottle, I'm like, and then she goes, this is what took me out. She goes, yeah, I'm just going to fill up, when we leave the restaurant. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, I guess that's a good idea. We should just ask them to give us some water so we can go back to our Airbnb. And then what's crazy is all the Airbnbs had water for us, which was not like a far-fetched thing. Or you can go like to the convenience store and buy a bottle of water.
What trip I was going on.
But she had me convinced that I wasn't prepared. And I'm like, Sunday night, we're leaving Tuesday. That Sunday night, I'm like stressed. Like, I don't think Amazon Prime is going to deliver this stuff to me in time. Like, whatever. So that was funny.
So funny.
Because like I said, I planned this whole trip and I was like, yeah, Koree, like, I'm not prepared. Like, I just have clothes.
So funny.
Yeah, but mind you, and it's also interesting too, because since I've traveled last, I feel like their stuff was just a lot more accessible, and even like you have AT&T, but I have T-Mobile. T-Mobile didn't offer service in all of these countries when I was traveling in 2018 and 2019. Now they do. So that's something to like be mindful of too, is your phone service. People are not planning on leaving for 18 days really, but if you are planning on doing a trip or something, also be mindful of like your phone service and stuff. At least just see what they have before you leave.
Yes.
Make sure you call, so it's not like you get out there and then you're like, oh, I can't,
I don't
talk.
racked up all this data.
Yeah,
You're
so
like,
just be
"What?"
mindful of that before you leave. But yeah, they're like, I think you talked about people, not wanting to travel because of the planning, but I think too, they think like life in these other countries for them for these few days is going to be hard.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
no, you're not going to have to walk to a well and pull water out of the ground. Like,
Listen, for real though,
Yeah,
a
like-
lot of people don't know what to expect, and I
Yeah.
think that's why this conversation is so important. Because like even us, so before you go on trips, you should like let your bank know, okay? Like at least give them a heads up. And so I originally was like, oh, I need to take out money. I was like, I guess I'll exchange it in every country. Like I was confused because I had never done a number of countries in such a short amount of time, right? Usually if I go to a country, I'm there.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's fine if I exchange money.
Right.
But then Jazz is like, no, I'm not taking out money. I mean, I may take like $100 or $200 just to have American cash on me for like backup, but I'm just gonna use my debit card. And I was like, oh, like I didn't even realize, right, that you can use your debit card, your American debit card,
In
when you
these other
travel.
countries, right.
And
Hold
so
on
even
to
that is such a great tip,
Right.
Boga.
I have to go on break real quick. We'll be right back, y'all.
Bye.
Right.
And
hold
so
on
even
to
that is such a great tip,
Right.
Boga.
I have to go on break real quick. We'll be right back, y'all.
You're seriously watching porn by yourself? Oh, wait, that's the wrong script. Oh, that's right. I'm here to talk about the Primos Chidos radio show, live every Thursday at 12 from the TGN Latinx station. Make sure you tune in for some laughs, maybe some crying, and definitely some stupid takes. I'll see you guys there.
Sundays just got sweeter. The Hub Radio presents First Sundays Open Mic, hosted by Hub City Dre, DJ Gamma Ray, and the First Sundays Band. They're inviting all singers, rappers, comedians, and poets to show up and show out. Sign-ups begin at 6 p.m. Sundays Open Mic will take place every first Sunday of the month. It's just $10 before 8 p.m. and $20 after, so arrive early. The address is 1135 East Compton Boulevard. That's 1135 East Compton Boulevard in Compton, California. For more information, follow them on IG at First Sundays Open Mic.
Hey, my name is Jasmine Sweets, and I'm so excited to be bringing you The Sweet Spot on TGN Vibes, Good Vibes, and R&B. Playing the old school, new school, and in between. I'm coming to you this summer. Stay tuned.
Hey everyone, it's the Primos Chidos.
Hopefully you're enjoying this show, but if it sucks, be sure to check out our show, live Thursdays at 12.
Yeah, join me and my sister and basically my brother as we discuss everything from immigration to ejaculation.
If that sounds interesting, then we're the show for you.
Warning, the following podcast features discussion of sensitive topics, graphic content, and uncensored stupidity. Unless otherwise stated, the featured content is not discussed by professionals or experts. TGN and the Primos Chidos must advise against taking anything said on this program too seriously. Viewer discretion is advised.
Manuel Jones, also known as Zach, the original Black Ranger. Hey, and make sure you're checking out TGN Radio. Hey.
Peace, family, brother Reezus. I'm here. You already know I'm checking in with TGN Radio, Black owned, so you already know that's where I'm at. Tap in.
Hey there, business owners. Don't miss our limited time offer. Advertise on the Good News Radio as low as $2 per commercial slot. That's right. Promote your business up to 4 times a day, every day for a month on live radio. If you're interested, email us at contact@tgnradio.net. Once again, that's contact@tgnradio.net.
Hey, Jackie, what's wrong?
I'm over here running around trying to tell everybody about the Podcast Pit.
What's the Podcast Pit?
I'm glad you asked. The Podcast Pit is an event where you will find some of your favorite podcasts performing in front of a live audience.
Will there be food and drinks there?
Of course there will be. It's at Joxer Dailies in Culver City. They have a full bar and a full menu.
Hey, I may need to tell people about this as well.
Yes, come with me. Let's tell them. The Podcast Pit is coming.
The Podcast Pit is coming. Hey, what's up, business owners? Are you looking to take your business a step forward? Are you looking for more people to know what you have to offer? You are in luck. The Good News Radio has a special deal.
Ooh, that looks crazy. Hey y'all. We're back. This is the New Black History Makers show. I am your host, Jasmine Gates, and I am joined by Koree.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes.
Hey y'all.
Trying to get these earphones together. But we're talking about our travels to Central and South America.
Yes.
We had a ball. But what you were talking about the credit cards, or debit cards. So credit cards, debit cards, yeah, that's something that you can use. And like I was saying, there was a lot more. Like, so I've never been to Central and South America, or South America, but I've been to Asia, Europe, and Africa. It wasn't as easy to use your debit and credit card in some of those other places. And it might also be because it's so close, so they know that there's, a lot more Americans coming. But it was, I mean, I feel like almost everywhere we went, except for like street food vendors.
Oh yeah.
Or like the markets. Some of them did not, but it was really easy to use your money. A rule of thumb is always take out at the and you don't even necessarily always have to, because I realize that there's a lot of ATMs around. But if you just want to make sure that you're good, taking out money at the airport. Where were we when there was like no money in the airport? Was it in Guatemala? No, it was our first place. It was like an early place
Oh, well, it happened to us in Guatemala.
where there was like no money in the ATMs.
Yeah. But then remember at the last place, those 2 ATMs were messed up too, and you're like, forget it, let's just go. I
Yeah.
don't know if it was Peru or Colombia, but yeah,
I think it was raining and our Uber was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a rule of thumb too. Yeah, and you can usually find an Airbnb. I mean, a ATM, and then your Airbnb host. You can ask them, because I asked a few of them like, "Hey, where's the nearest ATM or whatever?" And they were able to like guide us and stuff. So that's a thing too. But Costa Rica, went to Panama. We were in Panama for a night.
Oh my goodness.
Panama was hilarious though. I think it was like not exactly the middle of our trip, but it was just like, okay, we just finished like the first half in Guatemala. We went to Costa Rica. We had a long travel day, so even though there were layovers, you have to consider that whole time traveling,
Right.
a travel day or whatever. So it was definitely over 30 hours. We did get to sleep in Panama, but we were still traveling. Your mind doesn't really get to rest because you're like, okay, I'm only going to be here for a certain amount of hours. Then we had a plane to catch the next morning. But what was like the first thing is Panama doesn't have Uber. That like threw us off, because everywhere else we had been had Uber, which I'm used. So usually it's either, if it's not Uber, it's one of their apps that they've originated in the country, and you can go around and ask like, hey, what's your app that y'all use that's like Uber, and they're like, we don't have that. Like, there's taxis. So yeah,
And Panama's expensive, by the
they
way.
use American dollars, which I researched, but he charges $30 to go 20 minutes, which
we paid, what was it, 40 on the way back though?
No, I think
was
it was
it 30
the
the same?
He charged, I think it was the same.
It was expensive. Dollars.
Yeah. But it was like, I was just like, okay, I'm not even about to go back and forth. And I think I got him down to 20 something dollars, 25.
It was 25.
Yeah, and he wouldn't budge anymore. And I was just like, okay, it was late. But Panama was turned up. Panama was so turned up.
I felt a connection with Panama though. Like I did. I'm like, I need to go back and like see what's up. It was turned up.
Back. Yeah.
I don't know. It felt good. Well, the music was awesome. I think that's what we mean by turned up.
We were there
didn't really go anywhere.
Tuesday, and like even on the radio, the music was, because like if you're here, 102.3, 105.9, or whatever, the rest of them, they play more turned up music on Friday nights. So when we're in the car, it's Tuesday night. This guy is playing their like local radio station. It's like music, like it's a Friday night, like it's a party, and I'm like, okay.
But it was like good music. I wish I had like my Shazam out or something. I need it. Like I wanted to
right
get the music.
And then we get to the hotel and stuff, and we get in. The hotel is really nice.
That's nice.
But we're like,
Hungry.
okay, yeah.
Oh,
No, that's yeah. We're like going, trying to find food. So I mean, we look around some of the places that we were thinking about closed. So we're like, were we across the street? And I'm like, oh, there's Chili's. Let's go to Chili's.
Yeah.
So we walk over, and it's not Chili's. It's like some place called like
Chillin'. It's called Chillin'.
Horrible food.
We're like, oh, when you thought you were getting Chili's and you get Chillin'.
Right.
It was hilarious.
And then we go up to the restaurant, and we're talking to the people, and we're like, oh, are you guys open? And she's like,
yeah, she wasn't quite sure.
Yeah. I was like, you guys have food? Like, she's like, let me ask or whatever. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. Everything was like frozen. We got empanadas, maybe some wings.
Nachos.
Oh, nachos. It was horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't
so
good.
horrible. But yeah, and then okay, so no, before we go to Chillins, we leave our hotel room and we're waiting for an elevator. We press the button for the elevator?
Yeah, we did.
And it's not coming. It's not coming at all. So is he El Salvadorian man? Ecuadorian. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't want to butcher that. He's from Ecuador.
Yeah, he's
That's
from
what I'll
Ecuador.
say. Yeah. A man from Ecuador. He comes up and apparently like there's another elevator. It's not even like around the corner. It's just like on the other side. And we didn't see it the whole time. So he pushes the button, but he looks at us like, what is wrong with y'all? And then he goes, are y'all from America? And I felt so offended by that because I felt like he was like,
duh, it makes sense now. You guys are idiots.
So we get into the not the airport, the elevator. And what does he say something to us?
Girl, yes.
He says,
he asked if we're from America. We said, yeah. He says, I'm from Ecuador. And Jazz says, the man says he's from Ecuador. Jazz says, oh, we just got back from Guatemala. I don't know if that means anything to you. And he stared at her.
Wait, no, so he stares at me first. And then I go, because I feel awkward. I'm like, I'm not sure if that means anything to you.
Y'all, listen.
It was so funny because I just thought, and I'm like, I guess that's what people do when they're like, oh yeah, I eat fried chicken. And
she was trying to connect. Yeah, it's like, I have a black friend. You know, it was like,
I'm like, if we were in America and he said that, and I feel like it would have been like, oh, cool. But like the fact that we were in Panama and he's from Ecuador, and I'm like, we just came from Guatemala.
Which is like, nowhere close to Guatemala, by the way, which made it worse. Right. And so I made it. First of all, it was awesome. It was so
and the
funny.
guy, he like
so
leaves
funny.
And he's like, bye.
No,
like,
he dismissed us. He left so fast. The elevator door opened and he was out of there. Okay, he's like, I'm done talking to these girls. But honestly, I don't know who needs to hear this, but geography matters. Like and I'm saying that because like while we were, taking these longer flights, you know how like you have your personal TV screen, right? And I would just look at, how you can see, the airplane flying over the different countries. So I would like just look at maps. Like I just made it I was like, this is going to be my thing. I just need to study these maps. I need to know where all of these countries are located. And I think because geography is like one of those things I feel like people don't really know where things are.
Yeah, no. People don't
like
know
they
where
know.
things are.
So when he said he was from Ecuador and Jazz said, oh, we just came from Guatemala. First of all, it was hilarious. Right. But I hadn't even realized how far Ecuador was from Guatemala until I looked at the map. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Ecuador is by Peru. Like this is South America, not even Central America. So like, but that was like, I didn't know either, right? So like for me, I'm like, oh my goodness, like so often we throw these like different countries out, but it's like, do you even know where they are? Like pull out a map, yo.
Right.
It's important.
But it was Panama was really funny. The breakfast was good there. We ate breakfast at the hotel. Yeah,
it was good.
We also ate breakfast in Guatemala at the hotel, and it was really good. in Guatemala City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But
The
that was like our
beans.
first time. Sorry to go back to Guatemala, but that was our first time realizing like, oh, Guatemala has a little more to offer than what we thought. So we ate breakfast there, ate breakfast at the hotel in Panama. Then we flew into
Peru.
And Peru was like, we stayed in like the best place, the best area. So in Barranco, just we had like everything, and there were restaurants. We went to like some really good restaurant. Didn't even realize it was walking distance from our hotel. There was so much food, like just walking distance from where we stayed.
Centrally located.
So yeah, if you're gonna stay in Lima,
stay in Barranco.
Yeah, stay like near Barranco.
It's kind of like their arts district, just to kind of give you an idea.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know.
It gave very much so like downtown. There was a mall like that I walked to from there. Like, and every country that we went to, every Airbnb that we went to wasn't conducive for like trying to walk around the block, you know?
Mhm.
But in Peru, it just was like you know when you're safe to walk in certain areas.
Yeah.
So Peru immediately was like, it's definitely like a runner's town. Like, you know, you can just kind of figure out your way through the city. We both kind of went by ourselves, and we didn't do that in every country.
No,
where
we
we both
didn't.
kind
We
of
were
took
together
our
the whole
own.
time.
Yeah. So like Peru was just very much so like I walk a lot while I'm home. I didn't walk a lot like Guatemala, walking around in Pana didn't feel like the thing to do. But walking around
You
in
weren't
Peru,
going anywhere. It's like one big circle.
right? So walking around in Peru was definitely like you just knew that it was cool. There was a lot of people walking around, and
So
then
much
there was just a lot.
art.
Yeah, there was a lot to do.
So much art.
Like without having to get in an Uber. But yeah, I loved Peru. We had some amazing ceviche. We also realized, I mean, I guess this is something that is known, but the Spanish is different, varying from country to country. So I guess you know that, right? If you're like from some of these places. But as people who were thinking that we were getting it together, we were getting the Spanish together on the 10th day to get to Peru and have mastered this Spanish, not mastered, but you know,
We were familiar.
yeah, we familiarized ourselves with the Spanish from Guatemala. To go to Peru, we're asking for shrimp ceviche, and shrimp in Spanish is camarones. The guy's looking at us like he has no idea what camarones is. So I'm like, he goes langostinos, which is lobster. So I'm like, okay, it's lobster ceviche. This man brings out a whole bowl of shrimp. And I'm like, what is the word for shrimp here? Like, so and then we're in an Uber. We're trying to tell this guy to stop. We're like, aquí. And he's like, he speeds up. And I'm like, what is going on? Like,
the jazz like, alto.
Just yelling out words.
Alto. Aquí.
Yeah, so
that was
interesting.
And then and neither of the words worked. He just kept hit the freeway and kept
taking
pushing,
us wherever he was gonna take us.
So I'm interested in knowing like what stop is.
Right. I think it's Palo. I don't know.
Oh, it's Palo.
Pale. It's Pale.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Pale. Oh.
In one of those countries. But yeah, that was I think
that
too,
was
so being in.
learn.
What else did you like in Peru?
I love the art and the music. I liked the Bridge of Sighs when we went over there.
Yeah, when they were playing the music.
Yeah, they're playing the music.
Mhm.
And that was really great. I guess I hadn't realized that, again, like Barranco was an artsy district. And so it's not until we got out and really started walking around, you see this like beautiful artwork, live music. It was really nice. And the pisco sours, like, let's be honest.
Yeah. They were good.
They were so good. So the pisco sour is the like national drink for Peru. And it was so good. Because neither Jazz and I, we don't like drink like that. But I mean, we said that if there was a national drink, we'd try it. And it was really, really delicious.
Yeah. It was really good. And it was just cool to try it, you know, try the national drink. So we did that. We had, what is it? The Lomos
Saltado.
Saltado?
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Lomo saltado.
Yeah. So did we have a bowl? we did. You had to bowl the first restaurant.
Yeah, and it was
first
way
restaurant
too
was-
commercial. And
Yeah, I was like, this is what you.
Yeah, no.
You know, it was weird.
It wasn't delicious.
No, so we ended up getting.
We got it off the street. We got a Loma Sotalo sandwich.
Yeah, it was so good. So
That
that's
was
another
fire.
rule of thumb. Like, eat street food. Out here, I do not eat street food except the fruit man. But eat street food.
We forgot to mention that Peru is a gastronomic country.
Yeah, I was telling somebody about that yesterday.
Yeah.
So that basically means that they have a wide range of a variety of foods. So there's like hundreds of different foods that they offer, different tastes,
And they
cultures.
take it seriously.
Yeah. So Colombia is not on the scale of
definitely
Peru,
not.
but they also are considered. They're on that scale as well.
They are?
Yeah.
In
in
Bogota?
Well, I just think Colombia,
Uh.
but
I don't remember having any good food in Colombia. I'm sorry.
what did we eat in Colombia?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. We don't remember. It wasn't memorable.
The French toast thing.
Oh yeah, those were really good.
Wait,
That
where
was
was
good,
the
but that wasn't-
Chinese food or the Asian food? Where
That
was
was
that?
in Colombia.
That was in Colombia.
Yeah.
That was fire.
It was fantastic, but it also wasn't Colombian food.
But it's not supposed. Gastronomical means they have different cultures and different varieties of food.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, okay. Well, I guess if you say that, then yeah.
but I mean, they're not as like that. As
It was
Peru.
good. So no, okay. So do you want to? Should we go to Colombia now?
Wait, okay. So
'Cause-
what else? So we had the ceviche, we had the lomo
It's
on
good.
a
The tea.
bun.
Remember the yummy street
Yeah,
tea?
the tea on the street.
That was good. We
I
had
didn't care
we
for
had the arepa.
from the
Nicaraguan.
place, yeah. From down, it was like down the street, yeah. And they have like these
It's
really
delicious.
good sandwiches.
That
Like,
chicken
very
sandwich?
basic, but they were really good.
Is that what you're talking about? The chicken sandwich that I didn't get?
The one, well,
When you
I
went for
feel
a walk
like I
and
got,
came back home and had a sandwich?
yeah,
Is that the sandwich you're talking about?
yeah. Well, I feel like I had another sandwich too.
It
But
looked
yeah,
really
and then we
good.
have breakfast, the juice everywhere. was
Oh
good,
my gosh.
except for Colombia,
Listen,
the juice everywhere else.
get the smoothie.
Get the smoothie.
Get the smoothie. You will not regret it. It's fantastic. And actually, I realized I was having smoothie withdrawals when I came back to LA because it's just not the same. It's fresh out there. They're like here, everything's just loaded with sugar, loaded with artificial stuff that you don't need. It takes your body forever to break it down.
Yeah.
But there, it's like, okay, can I have a pineapple strawberry smoothie? You get pineapple, you get strawberries, and you get some water
Yeah.
or some milk, whichever you prefer. But that's it, you know,
Or
and it's
soda.
fantastic.
Right. It's really good.
Get the smoothie.
Yeah. But okay, so then we went to Colombia.
Yeah, Colombia. Colombia was great.
I'm trying to think. Where did we? Okay, so we stayed in the Airbnb was really nice. Also, we stayed in Barranco in Peru. We also stayed by the water. So I imagine it would have given a different vibe in the summer. If we were to visit Peru in the summer from where we stayed.
Yeah.
But Colombia, we did stay. It was very gloomy. It was gloomy in both Peru and Colombia. But we stayed in a nice Airbnb.
Gym was great.
There
Pool
was a
great.
food court under our Airbnb, which was interesting.
It wasn't delicious.
It didn't give what it was supposed to give. But you know, we were able to make it work. What else? What did we eat? So we ate the Chinese food, which was amazing.
Oh my God,
Chinese
it
food
was so good. It was so good.
Um,
And I don't even like Chinese food. Did I tell you that?
No.
Yeah, I don't even eat like Chinese food like that.
It was so good.
But it was fantastic.
Yeah.
There was something else we had that was really good. I can't recall.
It's funny because they're talking about food. Like, what?
I know. I was like, is this like is this a food cast?
What do we do in Colombia?
Art.
So,
Our
yeah,
walking tour.
They have a lot of graffiti. So this is something that I will say that I forgot about. I really don't listen to people. I mean, that sounds bad, but I'm gonna run with that statement. Because a lot of people have a lot to say, but ain't never been nowhere, right? Ain't never been to nowhere outside of Vegas. But want to be like, oh, I heard there were lions running around like when you get off the plane. So a lot of people have stuff to say about Colombia because you hear Colombia, you think drug cartel or whatever. So they just
sex
feel like
trafficking, all
the
kinds
drug
of yeah.
cartel is just running rampant through the streets of Colombia. So a lot of people had things to say about being like mindful or whatever. And then apparently there's some type of protest. I think we kind of like stumbled upon a protest. It was the most peaceful thing I've ever seen though. They had like when the guy was preaching. You see those posters that were on the ground?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that was a protest. Those people was not yelling or nothing.
Yeah.
But it just a lot of people had a lot to say, and even in a lot of the articles that I was reading too, they were just like, oh, you know, you need to be safe, or like, hey, there were a lot of articles saying like, oh, is Colombia safe to travel to? Now, I'm not the poster child for Colombia, but I will say that unless there's like people giving you actual stories of when they went there and then maybe just saying like, hey, be mindful of this or be mindful of that, like don't really let these people deter you from going to these places, or don't let the movies or the news deter you from going there.
Yeah.
I didn't feel unsafe in any country that we
At
went
all.
to.
At all.
And even with Colombia, we were in this place. It was like their arts district, right? And it looked like, I think most people from like just looking at it would have been like, oh, maybe we need to get out of here. But those people were minding their business. They was drinking, it was getting turned up and doing, you know, who knows what. Maybe drugs. I don't know. But it was like, it was cool.
It was peaceful.
We were in there.
They were
people
peacefully doing
definitely doing
drugs.
drugs. You could tell that. But it was them in their own element, and we were not bothering them. We were not disturbing them. We came to take pictures, and we did what we had to do. So that's something that I think you need to be mindful of too, is when you're coming into somebody's place or someone else's like place of living. One, making them feel like their place is like not good enough or like it's dirty or something, like that's something not to do. And then also making them feel like they're making you feel unsafe is not something to do either. Like you can always just leave, you know. So
wow, you know, that's crazy because Jasmine, you and I have talked about this, just the common misconceptions of traveling to certain places. There's so many, you know, that's why Jasmine and I think this conversation is important, because one, just cost, fears, there's so many things to consider, or at least to address. And I think I love what you said, because that is so true. I think that let me be very, very careful about what I say right now. But you know how there are a certain group of people who maybe when they come to the hood, they move to the hood, they complain on the hood. Right. And you're like, wait, hold up. Like you're here, like you're new, like we've been here for generations. Like what you mean? Like they've been smoking. Like now all of it, like, you know, they move in the area and it's a problem, right? This is how it is. But it's so easy to look at those people like they're the problem, right? But let's just take it a little bit further and say Americans in general have American superiority.
Yeah.
So it don't matter what you are. If you're a Native American and you go to like a different country and maybe you go to their hood, like Jazz said, like it's so easy for us to be like, oh, we're afraid.
Yeah.
Oh, we're scared. You know, we kind of have this same kind of mentality as if like their lifestyle's offending us or like we're scared. But like, girl, didn't nobody tell you to walk down that alley? Right. You know what I mean?
Didn't nobody tell you to hop on that plane to come over here?
Yeah, exactly. You came all the way over here to feel inferior, you know, to make us feel inferior. Yeah. And I love that you said that, because it is true. You know, there's just all these misconceptions, and it's just like, it's not, yes, you know, you want to use wisdom and you want to be mindful of where you're going. But overall, like, no one's worried about you.
Yeah.
Like, no one's worried about you. You know, I feel like Americans, we walk around thinking people want to kidnap us and steal from us and rob us and all this stuff. But it's like, they're regular people. They're going to work. Yeah. Like, they're not worried about you.
And I think you have to take, like, go out there and see what is good. Like I said, the gratitude that these people have. Or like when we were at the restaurant and the guy just giving us his best. And most of the time they did give us their best, like from even the way that they gave us napkins, you know, like it was folded up and there was a presentation. So that's one thing like I'm big on is like, see what you can get from out there and what you can learn or what you can take and how you can become better. If you are leaving the country or wherever, and you're not becoming like changed by that environment. Now I know that I leave for a long time, so it of course there's gonna be some change. But even if you go somewhere for 3, 4, or 5 days, like you should be able to see something in those people that makes you, feel a little different.
Yeah.
But yeah,
absolutely.
we have to do like a part 2 or something because
I know,
it's
because I
already
feel
almost
like
over.
I really want to like address cost. I think that's really important, and planning,
Yeah.
because Jazz planned this whole thing, and I think a question I've been getting so often is like, "Oh, who's your travel agent? Like, how did you choose the
Hit me
countries you
up if
chose?"
you
Yeah.
want me to plan you a trip.
Like if we do some sort of part 2, or maybe just like a quick little segment just addressing those things or answering questions. I don't know, but like I really want to get in because we want to see more of us doing this.
Yeah,
And
for
so it's like,
sure.
how can we energize and mobilize and like get people excited about solo traveling or traveling overseas as
Right.
people of color?
Yeah. So we definitely have to do that. Anything. Well, where can people find you?
Oh, you can follow me on Instagram, #Koree. So the hashtag is spelled out HASHTAGKOREE. Koree Yancy on YouTube. Again, that's KOREE. Last name YANCY, and the same for Facebook. So I feel like as long as you get the first name straight, I feel like you can find me.
And she's on my page. You can find her somewhere on there.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is exciting. You're
Pleasure.
gonna see more from us. We'll be
Pleasure.
doing
Yeah,
a lot of different stuff. We want to involve you guys in all of that. So
definitely.
But yeah, thank you for coming on to the show. We gotta have you back again. We gotta do a part 2.
Yeah, I'd love to come back.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about. You know that. So
Yeah. But yeah.
I'll at
Alright,
you,
y'all.
girl.
Well,
Bye,
we'll be back.
everybody.
Yep. Next Friday at 3:30. Share this with somebody. But yeah, bye y'all.
Without the power of God behind everything I do, I really am completely inadequate.
I'm helping the culture. These guys are part of us as well. These guys are our cousin. I'm helping the culture. I'm pushing the culture forward in another way.
Hey, black child, be what you can be, learn what you must learn, do what you can do, and tomorrow